We are back. I was down and out with a nasty respiratory infection for a few weeks, but I'm all recovered just in time for the release of the new Player's Handbook for the 5th edition 2024 update. Starting with this video, I'll be taking a look at backgrounds that best fit each class. We will be kicking things off with the Barbarian class and see which backgrounds allow you to keep that rage flowing. A bit of a disclaimer, this isn't an optimization guide. If you're looking for class optimization, I suggest checking out other D&D YouTubers that focus on that. What I will be doing is examining backgrounds that keep your Barbarian character viable while also allowing you to be creative. In no particular order, we'll be starting with the Artisan. Making a crafty Barbarian may seem like an odd choice, but the Artisan provides 2 solid ability scores that support the class, while also giving you options to craft items. The Artisan ability score options are Strength, Dexterity, and Intelligence. Strength would be our first ability score improvement choice with the Artisan to improve our ability to land our attacks, as well as raise the DC for our grapple and shove checks if we want to lock enemies down. Dexterity would improve our armor class for the unarmored defense feature. Intelligence is useless for the most part for Barbarians. I'd only consider this if you want to boost the knowledge skills you picked up through a feat and species option. A +2 to Strength and a +1 to Dexterity would be the preferred option with Artisan. A +1 to all 3 options is still viable, but choosing to not put any points into Strength would be a mistake. Artisan would grant your Barbarian character the Crafter Origin feat, which will give you proficiency with 3 different Artisan's tools of your choice listed on the Fast Crafting table feature alongside the feat. The Fast Crafting trait uses the tools feature on the Fast Crafting table, which will allow us to craft an item on the table with one of the corresponding tools. Thematically, Woodcarver's tool stands out as your Artisan Barbarian will be able to make their weapon, which is either a club, great club, or quarterstaff. While neither option is optimal, it's still hilarious to play a Barbarian where they sit down, take a broken leg off of a table or a nearby branch, and turn it into a weapon. Smithing tools are great if you want to create ball bearings or caltrops to create some hindering terrain. Weaver's tools is another option to create a net to trap your enemies. These are just the tools that can craft items with combat applications, but all the tools on the table are viable, allowing your crafty Barbarian to create items for survival encounters. The Artisan background also grants you additional tool proficiencies with an Artisan's tool of your choice. With the Crafter feat, you will be rivaling an Artificer, having proficiency with a total of 4 Artisan's tools. If one of those Artisan's tools is on the Fast Crafting table, you can create the corresponding items with that option. The only downside to this background is the skill proficiencies. Your Barbarian won't be able to capitalize on them. Your Barbarian will be proficient with the Investigation and Persuasion skills. Investigation may get a boost if you put a +1 into Intelligence. Persuasion is probably useless if you don't have the Charisma score to provide some sort of bonus. Given that Barbarians must prioritize Strength, Constitution, and Dexterity ability scores, Intelligence and Charisma tend to be dumb stats. If you manage to have a decent Intelligence or Charisma score, the Investigation and Persuasion skills will allow you to participate in knowledge gathering challenges that the Barbarian usually would sit out of. The combination of these 2 skills makes me think that the Artisan Barbarian isn't quick to anger, preferring to take a measured approach to situations, but will unleash their rage when warranted. A character idea that would work with an Artisan background would be a world-hopping crafter Path of the World Tree Barbarian who travels the plains to study from the best and hone their craft. The next option to consider for your Barbarian would be the Entertainer background. For me, the combination of Entertainer Barbarian evokes a heavy metal rock star character, someone who fights hard and parties harder. The Entertainer ability score options are Strength, Dexterity, and Charisma. Just as I said with the Artisan background, Strength is the bread and butter ability score for the Barbarian. Dexterity could boost your unarmored defense. Charisma is usually a dumb stat for Barbarians, but in the case of this background, this could open up your Barbarian to participate in social encounters if you pick up Persuasion, Intimidation, or Deception skills. A +2 to Strength and a +1 to Dexterity is the preferred option, but a +1 to all 3 ability score options is also viable. Entertainer would give your Barbarian the Musician Origin feat, which gives you the Instrument Training and Encouraging Song traits. Instrument Training will grant you proficiency with 3 musical instruments of your choice. More importantly, the Encouraging Song trait would allow you to give some allies a heroic inspiration during a short or long rest. Heroic inspiration will allow a player to reroll any die, but they must keep the result of the new roll. This is an amazing ability that could be crucial. It helps your allies make saves against nasty status conditions that will keep them out of the fight, or land hits against monsters to keep the pressure up. The skills the Entertainer offers a Barbarian will only benefit the character if they are leaning into the more theatrical aspects of the background and class combination. Even then, on average, you won't be the best at them. Out of the 2 skills, Performance will be a roleplay enabler if you can manage to get some points into Charisma. Barbarians are usually depicted as battle-driven warriors with little depth outside of that. I'm sure you can count on your hand the number of Barbarian characters that have been at your table that either love the thrill of the fight or have become hardened by a lifetime of fighting and are looking to find peace. With Entertainer granting you the performance skill, it gives you some mechanical support to add some flair and depth to a class that usually tends to be played as one note. Overall, Entertainer is viable with a feat that grants a supportive ability. The background lets your Barbarian be active in roleplay and helps your teammates in another way the class usually doesn't do. A character I can see with the background is an entertainer berserker barbarian. This character would be a total rock star who's known to shred on the guitar and shred through monsters. If you're looking to play a pissed off field worker who is tired of the oppression from the tyrant lord that rules over your land, the farmer background is the perfect choice. The farmer background's ability score increases could go to strength, constitution, and wisdom. We won't keep harping on why strength matters. As you may have figured out by now, every option on this list will boost strength. Constitution is the second best ability score for a barbarian, giving you more health and attributing to your unarmored defense feature. Wisdom is always a solid score to invest in simply because of perception. It's the most used skill in the game, and having your barbarian able to spot threats before they sneak up on your party is always a good thing. The ability scores in the farmer background signal to me that this character is physically capable and has strong intuition. Barbarians already have the highest health pool compared to all classes, and the farmer doubles down on this advantage with the Tough feat. Tough will provide you with 2 extra hit points every time you level. It's not flashy like the previously mentioned feats in the other 2 backgrounds, but it's still a solid option that boosts your hit point pool. Since not every barbarian subclass expands on their list of damage types they are resistant to, those bonus hit points will eventually add up and give you more padding. The skills farmer offers are flavorful. Your farmer barbarian will be proficient with animal handling and nature. Animal handling will be the only one that can be viable if you boost your wisdom with the ability to score increase options. Nature would give your barbarian a bit more reach when collecting information during survival challenges, but since you need points into intelligence, it might not even be viable. For the farmer's background tool proficiencies, you can use carpenter's tools to sit down and craft yourself a club, great club, or quarterstaff, or try to use those tools to seal or pry open a door. The farmer background is an okay option that offers barbarian players solid ability score increase options and an origin feat option. Its skill and tool proficiencies are there for flavor and require some investment into ability scores that are often dump stats for barbarians to make them viable. A character idea I have for the farmer barbarian is a zealot barbarian who uses their faith in a nature god to fuel their fury to take down a tyrant oppressing their homeland. The next viable background for your barbarian is the guard. As a guard, your barbarian rage will be channeled into protecting the streets of your city. With this background, your ability score increase options are strength, intelligence, or wisdom. Wisdom and intelligence tend to be dumb stats for barbarians, but the guard background gives you the unique opportunity to make wisdom viable for you. Intelligence unfortunately will not do anything for you and doesn't support any of the skills given to you by this background. My suggestion would go with the +2 to strength and +1 wisdom. The guard background gives you the alert origin feat, which grants you advantage on initiative rolls, and the initiative swap trait, which does exactly as the name states. After rolling initiative, you can swap initiatives with another willing party member. This will help you skip to the front of the line for the times your initiative advantage fails you. More often than not, this will be useful to swap places with one of your allies who could cast a key spell or critical ability to give your team an edge in combat. The guard skills fit right in with the barbarian, granting you proficiency with the athletic and perception skills. Athletics is already on the barbarian skill list, but this allows you to pick up another skill on the barbarian skill list instead. With strength being your strongest ability score, you will be using athletics to handle any physical challenges in your way while dungeon delving. Perception is always a great skill to have proficiency in, and taking the ability score increase to wisdom from this background will make the most overused skill in 5e viable for you. As a guard, you will have proficiency with a gaming set of your choice. This is always a fun roleplay enabler at the table and gives your DM a chance to introduce a minigame to give you and your party a chance to gamble. I don't exactly have a negative thing to say about the guard background. It's a well-rounded option that buffs your primary ability score while giving you a bonus to your wisdom that is often a dumb stat for barbarians. The score improvement to wisdom makes it so that the perception skill is a viable option for you. Alert is also a solid pickup to have to lead the charge in battle or give you the option to swap places with one of your teammates to initiate a plan of attack. The character idea I see with the combination of guard and barbarian would be an extra planar world tree barbarian who protects the borders of the plains. Bear with me for a second, as the next background I'm suggesting may sound like I'm trying to mix oil and water, but I think you should consider the noble background for the barbarian. The ability score increase options aren't exactly ideal. We can boost strength, intelligence, and charisma. Strength is getting the obvious +2 bonus increase here. I've said before that charisma and intelligence tend to be dumb stats, and that hasn't changed, but in the case of the noble background, I'd put a +1 into charisma. A noble barbarian could simply be a pissed off royal court member who was next in line to the throne, but was usurped by a scheming family member. The +1 into charisma could make the ability score viable for you to lean into your character having a natural aura about them. You won't be the best at being the party face, but the small bonus to charisma could allow you to succeed a bit more at intimidation checks. The noble background's origin feat isn't a flashy option, but skilled will grant you proficiency in 3 skills of your choice. This is a solid option to pick up for more social skills like intimidation or deception, as well as perception, because it's just that useful. The skills this background offers you are history and persuasion. History will probably be lacking for you since intelligence is a dumb stat, but it doesn't mean you can't try to make a roll here or there to see if your character might know something about the past. Persuasion, on the other hand, is viable, opening up the social pillar of play to your barbarian where they normally would sit out. The last thing you gain from this background is proficiency with a gaming set. There isn't much to it, have a good time and gamble. My overall thoughts with this background are that it's an okay option, but isn't stellar compared to others on this list. I include it because Noble has the potential to let you play a charismatic barbarian, allowing you to partake in social encounters that you would normally sit out of. As mentioned earlier, I see the Noble Barbarian as a pissed off royal who was the next in line for the throne, until another member of the royal court pulled off a coup. If you want to keep this character simple, a Berserker Barbarian makes sense here, but if you want your character to lean into their faith, a Zealot Barbarian is an option also. The next back row will have your Barbarian hail from the seas, which is the Sailor. As a Sailor, your ability score increases will be Strength, Dexterity, and Wisdom. All three ability scores are great for your Barbarian, so don't hesitate to put a +1 into all scores. You will still get the necessary bonus to your Strength to land your hits. At the same time, Dexterity helps your unarmored defense and initiative. Wisdom opens up some roleplay opportunities with the right scores and can make Perception a viable skill for you. If you want your Barbarian to throw some hands, the Sailor background grants you the Tavern Brawler feat. Tavern Brawler fits thematically with a Drunken Sea Barbarian getting to barroom brawls, but mechanically it's a little bit of a letdown. Your unarmed strikes now deal 1d4 damage. You can roll damage dealt with your unarmed strikes if you roll a 1, and when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can push it 5 feet away. The more notable trait is Improvised Weaponry, which gives you proficiency with improvised weapons that will let you turn a stool or tavern mug into a weapon. This feat may be viable for tables that aren't as heavily invested in optimizing for combat, but for those tables that do, this does very little for those wanting to maximize the Barbarian's combat abilities. Tavern Brawler's viability will vary. For the Sailor's skill proficiencies, you're given Acrobatics and Perception. Acrobatics might be viable if your Dexterity score is decent. This will come into play for you during dungeon crawling or other physical exploration encounters. Proficiency with Perception is amazing as you will be using this skill all the time. Having any bonus to Perception will always be beneficial. As a Sailor, you will be proficient with Navigator's tools, which will let you participate during survival encounters. If your party is lost, you will be able to determine your position using the stars, or if you're trying to avoid danger during the day, you can plot the course. I think the Sailor background is an okay option, giving you a solid set of ability score options and proficiency with the Perception skill. Everything else that the background gives you is a bit too situational for those looking to optimize, but if your table leans heavier on the roleplay, you may find ways to put your navigation tools to use, or get yourself into a tavern brawl where you won't be needing to pump out as much damage as possible. I always imagine the combination of Sailor Barbarian as a seafaring Viking warrior. A Berserker or World Tree Barbarian would fit this idea. The last background to consider for your Barbarian character is the Soldier. This background has the perfect set of ability score bonuses for your Barbarian, allowing you to put bonuses into Strength, Dexterity, and Constitution. A +2 to Strength and a +1 to Constitution will probably be the bonus distribution most players will pick, but a +1 to all three ability scores is a viable option. Putting a +1 in a Constitution and Dexterity will work together in boosting your armor class with your unarmored defense feature. Dexterity is a great pickup for the Barbarian to help improve your initiative, along with providing some support for the advantage you get to Dexterity saving throws from your Danger Sense feature. The origin feat that the Soldier background provides isn't my favorite. As a Soldier, you will be granted the Savage Attacker feat, which is meant to keep your average damage up. Once per turn, when you hit a target with a weapon, you can roll the weapon's damage dice twice and choose which result to use. Essentially, it's weapon damage advantage. It's my least favorite origin feat because it locks you into only caring about the combat pillar of the game. On average, you'll probably do a little bit more damage, but compared to the impact that the Musician feat provides, it feels lacking. Giving multiple members of your party heroic inspiration every rest is a lot more powerful in comparison to 1 or 2 extra damage per round. The Soldier will give you proficiency with Athletics and Intimidation. Since Strength is your primary ability score, Athletics will be your defining skill, letting you overcome any physical challenges during combat or exploration. Intimidation opens up an avenue of roleplay, letting you be the big scare Barbarian standing behind your party face as they try to shake down a villain for some information. The Soldier class doesn't buff your charisma score in any way, but having proficiency with the skill will let you use the help action alongside other members of your party and give them advantage on their intimidation check. Soldier joins the Noble and Guard backgrounds in giving proficiency with a gaming set. For the last time in this video, go force your table to get their gamble on. The Soldier background provides 3 strong ability scores for your Barbarian, but is a bit underwhelming everywhere else. It's still a viable option if your table is focused primarily on combat, but you may feel you're coming up short in other pillars of play. A character idea for the Soldier Barbarian could be a Zealot Barbarian who is part of an army that worships a war god. And that's all my suggestions for the new backgrounds for your Barbarian in the new player's handbook. Let me know which backgrounds you will use from this list, or if you think I missed a background that works with a Barbarian, share that with me in the comments as well. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, where I drop player content for you to use in your 5e games at home. This month I have a variant of the Asamara that has a Quaddle lineage. You can find the links to the Patreon and the official Dungeoneers Pack Discord in the description below. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.